Hey everybody, Brett Rice, coreVISION Financial Group, coming to you today with another video on our episode on financial topics. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe so you're notified when we post a new video. Welcome to 2026, as this is our, I believe, fifth full year of doing videos, which is hard to believe. But we're excited to keep bringing this content out here as we get comments a lot from clients, people out in public saying that they watch these, they find them pretty informative. So again, go to our YouTube page, subscribe, reach out to us, comment, let us know what you think about these videos. Today, I'm joined by Joe Heller, and we're going to talk about 2026 contribution limits and how they've changed this year and what they're going to. So Joe, introduce yourself.
So I'm Joe Heller. I've been here at coreVISION for 4 years now, I believe, and work with Jason Pike and everyone else on his pod, but kind of help in the assistant advisor role right now, getting my last certification done, which is exciting, and really love it, and just wanted to come in and talk about some changes for 2026 today, and just get some information out there. So if anybody had some questions, hopefully this will answer some of them.
Yeah, because this is a frequent question we get, right? How much can I contribute? And it does change every year. Well, let's say it changes most years. It doesn't change every year. But it's important for people to understand what those limits change to, because a lot of people, you have a percentage set up in your, say your 401k. And when that limit increases, maybe you need to increase that percentage to get you up to that new maximum. And it's important, a couple of things. Some people that are high income people will make the mistake of making a large contribution at the beginning of the year or at some period during the year. And then when they get to the end of the year, there's no contribution left to be made because they've already maxed it out. Well, where that is a downfall is then they miss out on their match.
Sure.
So it's really important to know what that maximum is spread out over the entire year to make sure you get the full max. Now, I understand, a lot of people probably don't max it out, but still knowing what those maximum limits are a big deal.
Sure. And the big thing is we've had some changes in, IRS, inflation adjustments, Secure 2.0 Act, Social Security, Medicare. We've also had the big, beautiful bill that went into effect last year.
Yeah, there's several different things that play into these adjustments.
Sure, and we're probably not going to get into every single one of them here, but definitely hitting the big ones so that people know, hey, this has changed, and maybe I can contribute more this year. Maybe this will affect me in a more positive way, and just kind of letting everybody know what those are.
Right, because it's the more you know.
Right, absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about retirement contribution limits. We're talking 401ks, 403bs, 457s, TSPs, thrift saving plans, those type of things. What's the new contribution limit?
So employee deferral limit rises this year to $24,500. It was currently in 2025, it was $23,500. So you're seeing $1,000 adjustment, and that's for those people that are under 50 years old. Yep. Now, your catch-up contributions for those people that are over 50, their standard catch-up increases to $8,000 total, or $8,000 for the year, for a total of $32,500. And then you have your super catch-up for ages 60 to 63. Remains $11,250.
And the super catch-up's relatively new. Right, for people over the age of 60, still working, still saving for retirement. Now there's an additional contribution that you can make that brings your total contribution limit up to $37,750. That's a big deal to bump onto the backside.
Sure. The big thing is if you're in that range of starting to really think about retirement, your 50s, 60s, you're starting to get there.
Yeah.
This is your chance to say, okay, well, now I can put even more in, and, those limits increasing helps that.
Yeah. And, these are big deals because while you're working, making pre-tax contributions, you reduce your taxable liability, so it can become a pretty big deal. It's a double-edged sword for you,
Sure.
to attack this problem that you can now contribute more and reduce your taxable income a little bit more. That super catch-up stayed the same.
Right.
The 401k limit went up and the catch-up contribution increased. So 2 of the 3 increased. So this is why it's important to talk about all of these pieces, because not every single one of them went up.
Right, and we'll see that across a lot of different things. There's certain things that change, certain things that don't change, but the big thing is knowing kind of where in those things you fit, so you can see how that adjustment affects you.
Yeah, and one thing we talk to people about a lot of time is all of these things are specific to you.
Right.
Right? The person sitting next to you in the office next to you, or your coworker, your line mate, whatever that is, may contribute different percentages, all of that stuff, but each individual person's, you can't just say, oh, well, the guy who sits next to me or works next to me does 10%, so I'm going to do 10%.
Right.
Right? You might be, to hit your goals, you might need to do 13.
Right.
Or you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Your situation is completely different.
Right.
So, it's why it's important, we think, of course, that you should talk to a financial professional about this. To have a financial plan and know, hey, this is my plan, this is what I want to do in retirement, and this is what I need to save in order to get there. And a 401k, employer-sponsored plan are usually the easiest ways to do that.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, what else we got? We got IRAs, traditional and Roth contribution limits. They're going to increase to $7,500 from $7,000, and then the catch-up raises to $1,100, so you could do $8,600 if you're over 50 years of age.
Yeah. And then simple plans, the limit rises to $17,000 total with catch-up.
Yeah, with the catch-up. So these are big deals. It's super important that when we know these contribution limits rise, that we take advantage of that if we're in a position to do that.
Right.
And that matches our plan.
Sure.
Let's talk about says Secure 2.0 changes. High earners, FICA wages of over $150,000 must make your catch-up contributions as a Roth.
Yes, if the plan offers that.
Yeah, if the plan offers that, your contributions need to be made post-tax, because Uncle Sam wants to try and get their money.
Absolutely.
On the high-income people.
One thing that I put on here that I wanted to hit is the tax brackets did not change this time. So you still have the 7 tax brackets. We have seen years where those have adjusted. This year is not one of those. So just so everybody knows, all of that percentage-wise, if you're at 10%, 12%, up to 22, 24, 32, all of that's going to stay the same.
Which is a big deal because
Right.
We know what we're up against when we're trying to pay taxes, and we talk about pre-tax contributions to reduce your tax liability. I mean, knowing these tax brackets, is the same thing, and we probably need to have a tax person on here to talk about this more in depth than when we talk about your effective tax rate versus your marginal tax rate and these different nuances in this that, there's a lot of misinformation out there about, how taxes impact you.
In the years that changes, all this other stuff is affected as well.
Yeah.
So it makes it such a big deal to know, did the tax brackets change, yes or no? And luckily this year they did not.
And so then the next thing we're going to talk about standard deduction.
So your standard deduction for 2026, single married filing separately for 2026 is $16,100. Married filing jointly is $32,200, and your head of household is $24,150.
Pretty significant increase.
Right.
Right. So that's a big thing for everybody to know. Standard deduction went up pretty good amount. So understand that. Make sure you can consult your tax professionals to see how that impacts you and all of those things. Because again, we're not tax professionals.
Right. And how you file will make a difference in those numbers for sure.
All right, Joe, let's talk about Social Security cost of living increase. What's that look like for 2026?
So there's a 2.8% increase. On average, it's adding about $56 a month.
Okay.
To retirement benefits, which, is positive. With inflation, maybe it's not as much as people would like to see.
Yeah.
But it is getting an increase, which is positive.
Sure. Yeah, I think anytime it's an increase is positive, but if it's not keeping up with inflation, right? Because we all know things cost a lot more today than they did in the past few years.
Absolutely.
So Social Security maximum taxable earnings rise to $184,500. So now if you make, more than $184,500, that amount is not taxed for Social Security, but up to that point that it is. So the maximum has risen again, and I think that's gone up the last couple of years. So it's rising as well. So
right,
full retirement age for Social Security continues to increase.
Right, and I think based upon what they have, it's going to continue to do that. For this year, if you're 66 years old and 10 months and you were born in 1959, that's going to be your full retirement age, and 67 for people born in 1960 and after.
And after. We're right on that then right now, right?
Right. We're right on that line, full retirement age.
Yeah, so soon, in the next couple of years, we'll be getting to where everybody is 67. All right, and let's talk about health savings accounts. The maximum contribution allowable has increased.
The limits have risen to $4,400 for an individual.
And the family is $8,750, so that's gone up pretty good in the last couple of years. So that's a big deal. If you have a high deductible health insurance plan and it offers an HSA, it's a great way to get some different taxable money, get some money pre-tax, gross tax deferred. You can take out tax-free for qualified expenses.
Sure, if you can take advantage of it, it's a great thing to do.
Yeah, and also if you can save money in that and then figure out a way to not spend that money until you're in retirement, it's another way to offset retirement expenses for healthcare costs.
Sure.
Especially if you're young and healthy and you don't go to the doctor a lot, but you're in a plan that allows you to contribute to an HSA, and you can contribute to that and let it grow and get that thing going up there in retirement. It can be a huge asset.
Yeah, it can definitely help you. And then there's a new Secure 2.0 option where there can be penalty-free withdrawals up to $2,500 a year for long-term care premiums. So if you're putting money into your HSA, they now have a provision where there can be withdrawals to pay for long-term care. So something that wasn't in there before, it's another kind of way to look of saving, maybe for in case there's
100%.
a long-term care issue. That money can be taken out penalty-free up to $2,500.
Right, because we're talking about retirement account contributions going up. Long-term care costs continue to go up.
Absolutely.
And they're probably not going to level off or go down anytime soon.
No.
As more and more people, are starting to use long-term care, it's only getting more expensive. So something to think about is if you want to save for long-term care and you have a health savings account, there's potentially a way to help offset some of those premiums through taking withdrawals from HSA.
Yes.
All right, Joe. So that's good. That's good talk on contribution limits to qualified accounts. So let's talk about anything in here that you want to make sure you hit before we end this podcast, Joe, about contribution limit increases.
Really, that there's some changes that are supporting, saving some more, hopefully taxes being more stable, knowing what your tax bracket is, things of that nature. But we do have rising Medicare costs. Hopefully some of the Social Security stuff will offset that, but that's more for retirees.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. But the big thing is review your situation. Make sure that you know where you fit in on these things. Does this change for me? Can I contribute more if I can? If I can't, that may be okay. But if I could, maybe I should. And just know what those numbers are.
Yeah. If you ever have questions about this, do not hesitate to reach out. Our contact information will be at the end of this video. You can email Joe or myself or anyone here at coreVISION, and we'll gladly, spend time walking you through what this means and, talk about creating a financial plan for you. There's a lot of things that we can do to help people just get their hands kind of around a general plan that says, hey, I think if I save this amount, if I do these things, I'll at least be headed towards that direction.
Right. And just understanding it a little bit better.
Yeah,
there's a lot of numbers, obviously, that we've thrown out today. But if you need help with that, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, 100%. It's what we love to do. We're passionate about it. And, we'd love to talk to you about it. So don't hesitate to reach out. Again, Brett Rice, Joe Heller, coreVISION Financial Group. Contact information's at the end of this video. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. Thank you.